Hello everybody, my name is Bubblezest and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4. In today's video we're going to be going over some interesting things I've found about Hearts of Iron 4. Specifically some things related to events, focuses, and so on. Maybe some unused things when we come to them. So to start off with, we're in Carlos, Spain. There we go. Now Carlos, Spain has a few interesting things related to them. So the first thing we're going to do is get to the succession question, so let's do that. Focus autocomplete is on, by the way, just for this. And here it is. As it mentions here, with the death of the childless Alfonso Carlos, the Carlos line has been extinguished, so we have to choose an alternative king. But here's the interesting thing here. Alfonso Carlos only died a year or so ago in game time. It's like September 1936, I believe. Or August, something along those lines. The point is he's dead. But, interestingly, he has a portrait in the game files. And here it is. I'm guessing this was probably some leftover from development, like maybe they planned for Alfonso to become king properly, or something. But it is weird just to have a completely unused portrait, especially for a man who would likely die anyway. And while you do have Bourbon France, by the time you could get the Bourbon king around, it wouldn't have mattered, he's also dead. And I don't think he even pressed for the French throne anyway. Anyway, let's get Alfonso in, because tradition at this point, and continue down our focus. If you didn't know, that claim the French throne is different if the legitimate heir has been done. As you can see here, Bourbon France gets the event, Carlos Spain claims French throne. Let's do it. And what do they say to that? Oh, they recognise our claim. But because we haven't crowned our king yet, we are going to get Manuel Conde as the King of France. But anyway, as the coronation preparations begin, get Bourbon France as our puppets. The Franco-Spanish Union. And here it is, the Coronation of Manuel. And as you can see here, we get all of France's cause, we get every unit leader. So yes, this now means we could get the famous Franco General Charles de Gaulle as our Field Marshal. All their units as well, all French cause, including Algeria, which does mean if France fully succeeded on French Union, you would get all French cause. Let's continue on. You can also do the Iberian Union, which, as I showed in the One King Two Crowns video, the one way to ensure that is to puppet Portugal one way or another. As you can see there, they accept, and now we have Iberia. We've gone from the kingdom, we've gone from Carlos Spain to Iberia. Oh, and it gets better. When we actually do restore the monarchy, we just become the Kingdom of Spain. Way to neglect all your constituents' nations, by the way. Now let's move on to our next little event chain, which is still in Spain though. Anyway, there are some still interesting events to see in Spain, like this one, event WWT Germany.2. This is from Waking the Tiger, if you didn't know, that's the abbreviation. German expatriates join our cause. Now from what I know, what causes this to fire is if Germany is in a civil war, but you have German volunteers, so it will do this, and it will create some extra units for you. All of these. They're not the best, but if somehow this happened to you in the German Civil War and the Spanish Civil War, I guess 3 units are okay. Of course, though, you wouldn't very commonly see this event because when Germany does oppose Hitler, it does it first, and the Spanish Civil War is like 3 focuses into the game, so you'd have to set it up yourself. And I think there's one more event for Spain at least right now for us to do, so let's do event la_Spain.80. There it is. Hidden event. Okay, now what does it do? As you can see here, Francisco Franco is now the leader for the CDA and CT. He isn't known at the game start. Look at Franco's portrait down here, just for reference, while I set our ruling party to one of those two, which will be N. There we go. And as you can see here, here is Franco's pre-La Resistance portrait. That event, la_Spain.80, sets Franco to his old portrait. Some events go completely unused, you know, but they sometimes do reveal some things about Hearts of Iron 4 itself. And that's why we're playing Germany for now, so we'll do this event, Germany.56. Here it is, the Polish question, which talks about giving us a casus belli for war with Poland. But interestingly, it only gives us political power. Now the thing about this event is, there's obviously nothing to trigger it, it goes completely unused. But the thing that I think about it, the reason why I brought it up is I think this is probably an early form of Danziger War down here. Because if you didn't know, in 1939, what Germany's actual justification was some attacks, quote-unquote, by Poles on the Polish-German border, which were completely engineered by Heinrich Himmler. I always think this is what it's referencing, like, I can see potentially why, though, Paradox wouldn't want this in the game, though. There's a fine line between realism and not wanting to reference historical events that they have talked about before. And I can see why something like this would probably be a bit too much for them. But still, this probably suggests to me, since this is a stock event, that at some point that this was what they wanted to do. So much so they even made an event for it. There's also another event that goes unused for Germany, which is not number 56, it's number 74. Preparing the ground. This is an event to do with Anschluss. As you can see, it's saying that they're yearning to become a part of us. And it's talking about sending an Abwehr agent away to prepare it all. The funny thing is, again, this was before intelligence agencies even became a thing. I mean, I gotta wonder, what was the point of this? Was this like an event chain for Anschluss or something? Anyway, I guess it's time now to move on to some... Now we're in the home of the brave, the land of the free, the United States of America. Now let's start with our first event, Event USA.1. This is a very common event that I'm sure some people have seen before. Amelia Earhart wants to enlist. If you don't know, if Amelia Earhart doesn't disappear, and I can't tell if it's due to civil war or something, you can get her as an ace. One of the few female fighter pilots you can get. I mean, for 10 political power, a free ace isn't so bad. There we go, get her in. Anyway, let's move on to another US event, USA.14. The Fascist Twilight. Now, if you don't know, the reason this event fires is if Germany does alliance with the Soviet Union. If the Americans are somehow fascist, you can get this event, which will flip you back to democracy, which I think is very peculiar. This is like the only event like this. Yes, we will return to democracy, and funnily enough, this gets rid of the Great Depression regardless of status. And there it is. We're now at game start, and the US has its economy unlocked. Oh, look at that. And you do get the fashion and defeated event. And before you ask, yes, the reverse is also true. If you do USA event.24, you get the red twilights. Oh well, again, similar to the Herculean convention stuff, it's attention to detail. It's good. I like it. Although, again, like, why? Similar to that event, which is probably from the US's old tree, you can have things that are still in the game and you can fire them if you make them via the console that are clearly from old focus trees. So you have event written.18, Return of the King. Now if you don't know, before Man the Guns, if you went fascist and had Edward VIII abdicate, you could bring him back as your king. So to get rid of him, you could make Edward VIII leader of the fascist party. There you go, he is now down there. That's just... And here he is, the inexperienced fascist imperialist. I do kind of see why this was removed. It almost makes no sense in any real way. I think if Oswald Mosley came to power, I don't think he would have wanted to share with the king in any real way. And like I said though, this is still in the game if you don't have Man the Guns. So if you want to experience it, just turn off Man the Guns or don't have it, go fascist and you'll get this event. I guess it makes sense though why Paradox wouldn't remove them. You'll never know when you'll need these events again. So, you know, can't complain. Unique things are alright at the end of the day, aren't they? Welcome to France. Some things in Hearts of Iron 4 are in the game, but you really have to go out your way to find them. Like for the Orleanist Restoration, the normal king for them is Jean III, Duke of Guise, I believe he is. But at this point, he has died, because it's August 1940, so he's died. So who is going to become our king now? The king is Henry VI. And here he is. The only way you can get Henry in power is if you wait until Jean is dead, and then he becomes the leader of the Orleanist party. If you get Jean in power, he will never die, which is weird. And if you look at Henry, you can see how little he's used, because his trait, a few years after La Resistance release, is still Count __ of Paris. To be fair though, why would you ever go Orleanist? Anyway, time for the next one, also. Now Now we're in Sweden. Now if you didn't know, though, there's something interesting with Hungary's tree. As you can see here, I've set them to go democratic via their king path. Down here, responsible government. Now we have some events related to that if Hungary ends up going to war. So let's do that. Event DOD Hungary 20, which affects us. Here it is. If Hungary goes to war, they could call us in. We can either not be drawn in, or we can intervene. There we go. Simple. It creates this unique House Bernadotte faction with them, which I think is interesting. I know I've not pronounced that right, but this house is literally the royal house of Sweden, and at this point now Hungary. The reverse is also true for Hungary, I believe. So if we go to Hungary, event DOD 24, I believe is the one. There it is. There we go. We can stand side by side with the Swedes too. I'm sure many of you have seen many of the nuclear events, but you can also force nukes by doing debug nuking. So let's just show one of these events off by nuking the Greater London area for a moment. There it goes. And there you go. There's ones for cities like Paris, Berlin, Washington, and so on. There are two unique ones I've found that you can do. So for one we're going to do Copenhagen, and two, we're going to do Stockholm. There they go. Atomic bomb of Stockholm and atomic bomb of Copenhagen. There you go here. If you didn't know, Paradox is a Swedish company, so I could see why you can do this. And Copenhagen, I believe, is more if you wanted to do the Med Plutonium event. I mean, achievement. Sometimes, though, you may find events just make completely no sense. Like this one in Japan that we're going to do. Event Japan.10. Or as it says here, Japan10.t. Or D. Make your mind up. Now, all this does is gives us a negative opinion from the US. Them an impression. I'm guessing this might have been from an earlier time when the US could condemn these things, or maybe, I don't know. Considering there's no description or anything, this almost makes me think this is completely unused. Again, if you do know where this is used, do let me know. I'm not sure about everything in this game and where it's located. There's even a set of generic events, you know, but there are some that make almost no sense, and ones I don't know where their placement truly is, if they're even at all. So, event generic 10, powerful friends. Now, as it talks about the first nuclear bomb, I can only assume this is if you get some nuclear arms race or something. There's also event generic 9 related to it. In the shadow of others, this is the bomb eludes. Damn, minus 50% political power gain. I mean, if you were really desperate for nukes, I suppose you'd do that, but this probably explains why this is not in the game, because why would you want minus 50% political power? That is annoying as all hell. That sucks. Hey, it even has a unique icon, I think. I'm sure it's elsewhere. There is one more generic event that's related to it, though. Number 8. Here it is. Masters of the Atom. Which does remove it. Also, gives even more war support. So if you ever played Mexico and wondered, if I get Leon Trotsky back, what happens if somehow he returns home? Well, here it is. Event Mex.22. Here it is. He gets a recall and he leaves. Gets some stability, which is alright, all things considered. I think this will become a bit more interesting when No Step Back releases, though. Gives a bit more options, maybe. There are some other Mexican events, though, but we have to be as Britain for them to really make any sense. So, event Mexico.24. Well, this wasn't the one I had in mind, but it is part of this chain. This is some U-boat attacks that Mexico would have. I believe this is also from before Mexico's focus tree, which is in Man the Guns. The more interesting ones are event Mexico 25. This is Mexico seeking an alliance. This isn't the same one, though, as Mexico getting the US to sponsor them to join the Allies. This is a different event, and yes, wait a minute, every little helps. Is this a Tesco reference? I'm for goodness sake, this is a Tesco reference. Oh, come on! If you don't know, in the UK, there's a supermarket chain called Tesco, and every little helps is their slogan. I hadn't really read that event properly before. Anyway, let's get Mexico into lights. I hope there isn't another one that says try something new today. And here's the final one in this chain that talks about the Wolf Pacts again. This is Mexico's reason for joining the Allies in another form of Hearts of Iron 4. Again though, I think this is unused. Again though, if you do know, do let me know. Sorry, I'm still not over the fact that Tesco has a reference in this game. Finally, we're going to be playing Yugoslavia. There is one thing with Yugoslavia that I don't think many people acknowledge that you can do, but something I think is interesting. So going through Yugoslavia's focus tree quickly, we're just going to do some interesting things. Oops, accidentally turned off autocomplete and no checks. Oh well, now they're back on. There you go, there's reunite the kingdom and everything, but here's the interesting thing. As you can see here, for signing the Tripartite Pact, Prince Paul becomes the leader for the Fascist Party. So we'll do that, and then we'll just quickly make him our leader by going set ruling party F. Here he is. And now here's the interesting thing. You can make Paul the king. So if you do that, we'll do it. There you go, and here's the coronation itself. And here's the related things to it. Long live the king. We can get the collaborated king, 10% political power gain, 011 F support, acceptance of fascist diplomacy, but most importantly and interesting to me is the Orthodox Church support, which is plus 25% political power a day. That means Yugoslavia at this point can get 1.8 political power a day, and we don't have any silent workhorses. That is probably the biggest base, quote unquote, political power gain you can get without a silent workhorse, actually. Now, the annoying thing with making Paul your king, the thing that really gets me is that the UK will eventually interfere with us. And here it is. It's the military launches coup event. We can either stand by our decision, or we can listen to the officers. You know what? Either one's a pretty bad decision, but you know what? Quickly, delete the army. We stand by our decision. Oh, that's the Yugoslav Federation. Orthodox Church support as well for Peter. Yeah. Alright, let's just quickly finish up this war. This was something I was going to briefly visit in the... Oh, and now the UK wants us to. Are we going to have a second civil war? No. Well, that's weird. But anyway, this was something I was going to do in the Yugoslavia guide, but I just didn't see the point. To be honest. The main problem was, well, the UK cooing us. But there goes Peter's merry little band. Interestingly, you can still have Paul and Peter in the same nation somewhat. Well, well, I think we should call it here. We've gone through some very interesting things in Hearts of Iron 4 today. You know, it is nice to explore such things, and it gives, like I've said a few times, I think, an interesting insight into the process of making a game like Hearts of Iron 4. I know we give Paradox some flack sometimes, but you know, I couldn't make a game like half as good as Hearts of Iron 4, you know? So I think, until next time everybody, this has been me, Bubble Zest, exploring events, portraits, news, coronating different kings, and so on and so forth. But until next time, whatever that may be, I'm thinking of some things to do. I thought about maybe doing something like loyalty to the cause of France. Let me know if you have any ideas for future videos. But for like the third time in a minute, until next time everybody, this has been me, Bubble Zest, and goodbye, farewell.